guys, it's Eva or Ivanovna or Lynette or Ivanovna Lynette. If you've ever seen my YouTube channel, well, welcome. I'm here to tell you today about Anchor and how you can start your own podcast. Anchor is this free tool that you can use to start your very own podcast right from your desktop or your mobile device. So wherever you are, Anchor is there with you. Anchor gives you the tools to start a podcast right from your desktop or mobile device, absolutely free. There's so many tools on here that you can use to edit and record your podcast, add music, and lots more. Not just that, but Anchor will distribute your podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever podcasts are streamed. So you have no excuse to not start on Anchor. And Anchor will also match you up with people that want to sponsor your podcast. That way you get paid for doing the thing that you love. And you do not need a minimum listenership. That's right. You can get paid with no minimum listenership. So what are you waiting for? Download the free Anchor FM app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR FM. Do it now. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Is This Thing On? So, guys, I'm so sorry. I took like a week hiatus because, not last week, part of last week and the previous week, I don't know if I had gotten laryngitis or something, or maybe just like a minor cold that went around and I finally caught the end of it. But my voice was shot. I could not speak. I could not sing. And I was sad because those are my two favorite things. And it was just a whole mess and disaster. And I just didn't like that. Like, who am I if I don't sing at least once a day? Like, it's so unlike me. And the fact that I had people calling me and then they're like, oh my gosh, no offense, but you sound terrible. And I'm like, no, duh. Like, I lost my voice. And I was trying to rest my voice as best as possible. And finally, I got my voice back around Wednesday of this week, or Tuesday or Thursday. It was sometime this week I got it back. So I'm happy and I'm thankful for that. But yeah, guys, I missed you. I have a lot to talk about. I kind of did not know what today's episode was going to be about because literally I had like a whole week to think of topics, and like I think it just occurred to me last night when I was kind of going through a rough patch that I should probably just talk about this and be more open about it. And I understand that everybody's experience is so vastly different, but I think I feel like I owe it to myself to be honest. And I think that this would help a lot of people out. And it's just something that I think I've been holding on for quite some time, and I've been wanting to talk about it, but I just didn't know how it was going to be received. But you know what? I'm at a point where we need to stop stigmatizing it and just be open about it and talk about it so that more people can get the help that they need. And I'm referring to mental health, which is kind of ironic that I don't talk more about mental health, considering the fact that I have a bachelor's of science in psychology and I'm about to start my master's in like 3 weeks. So yeah, like a little under 3 weeks actually. It's like the week after spring break. But anyways, yeah, I've kind of been going through it, not gonna lie to you guys. A lot has happened this past year, and just a lot has been going on that has made me more self-aware about my mental health. And I want to go see a therapist so bad, but like I literally cannot afford it right now. And it's on like it's on the bottom of my list to do. And honestly, it shouldn't be that way, because we should be able to prioritize our mental health. Because if we're not mentally excelling, we're just going to fail in every other aspect of our lives. And I feel so bad for my friends. They've been trying to help me get through this, and it's just been really hard, because at times they just don't know what to say anymore, and they don't know how to help me get out of this, kind of rut that I'm going through. And last night I was going through it, and I basically cried myself to sleep, um, because of a culmination of things. And I have a lot of like negative thoughts and a lot of like intrusive thoughts that just come into my head. And I've believed a lot of things about them. I've believed a lot of things about those intrusive thoughts, those negative thoughts, and I've really have let them get to me and just get me even more crappy than I was feeling. And last night, one of my dearest friends, he was trying to, you know, tell me that he's here for me and that he loves me and that he just wants the best for me. But, sometimes I feel like I can't, I don't know if anyone else can relate to this, but like sometimes I feel like I just can't be candid about my mental health or open up about my depression and what I'm going through, because I feel like, I don't want to make it about me. I don't want to be the center of attention. I don't want to call attention to myself. I don't want to be seen as someone that's just trying to gain pity. And because that just seems so patronizing and just so, um, like I'm trying to get everybody's attention, and I'm not. I'm just genuinely going through something really rough. And the best thing that helps me is when I, talk to someone about it. And I understand that like not everybody's going through the exact same thing, but it just helps to really put it out there and vocalize it and just not keep it bubbled up. Uh because I explode. I don't better myself by keeping it bubbled up. And one of the things I'm trying to work on, and my friends have noticed it, is that I tend to dwell on so many things. I tend to dwell in my emotions and my feelings and just how I'm literally going through something in the moment. I just dwell and dwell and dwell and dwell on it, and it just doesn't seem to help me out in the slightest bit. And it's just, it's kind of devastating, because I've just gotten to a point where I just feel really helpless. And you would think, because I'm a Christian, I pray, I have faith in the Lord, and that I would be better off, in my mental health, that I would be doing a little bit better. But it's just this past year, and then this year, I'm just slowly starting to see how much of a mess I truly am and how much help I need. And trust me, if I had the money right now to go see a therapist or a psychologist, I really would, because I think that everybody can benefit from therapy, not just someone that is going through depression or anxiety or whatever it is they're struggling with. I think everybody can benefit from seeing a mental health professional, because there's just things that our friends and family cannot help us with, that we need, to be able to rewire the way our brain and our thoughts are. And that can only be done with, prayer and seeing a mental health professional that is trained in this. And in many ways, I'm so grateful that I'm studying something that is ultimately not going to benefit just me, but like everybody else. And that's why I got into what I'm studying, because I really just want to help everybody with their issues. And I think that we are at a point in time where we need to normalize that, you know, that seeing a therapist is healthy, and that, being able to be vulnerable and talk about your anxiety or your depression, or anything that you're going through, that it should be normalized, that we shouldn't um feel ashamed to, just let it all out and truly be candid about everything that we're going through. um because so many people could benefit and so many people could be saved from their, inner demons if they just, have someone to talk to, whether it's a professional, whether it's your friend. But it's just something that, you know now I think the dialogue is a little bit more open, but it's taken us so long to just kind of break down those barriers and allow people to feel what it is that they're feeling. And again, I'm so grateful to my friends that I feel like I know that they genuinely love me and they care for me and they just want the absolute best for me. But I just feel like such a basket case at times because I feel like they cannot help me. Like, as much as they want to, they can only do so much. And it's up to me to either try to seek professional help or just try to, like, slowly work on myself day to day. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get myself in a more positive headspace because I know certain things just trigger my depression. And I've learned that I'm a very sensitive person, and I learned that I take a lot of things personally. And I didn't think I was like this, and it's really been affecting me lately. And I feel like sometimes I can't even joke around about certain things because it'll just trigger all these negative thoughts in my head. And I'm trying my best to rework through everything, absolutely everything. But it's a freaking process. And you know I'm still not a professional yet. I'm learning. I'm hoping to have my master's in 2 to 3 years. And I'm hoping that by the end of it I can really make a difference in someone's life and be able to just, shine the light on mental health and mental illness. And you know I think that if you are someone that's struggling and going through a variety of things, um, and you're constantly having to cry yourself to sleep, I think that you really just need to take a step back, and you need to kind of just remind yourself that you're important, that you're valid, that you're loved, that you matter, that what you're feeling matters. And just try to go from it. Try to go through it from there. I think that self-acceptance is a huge process. Learning to accept that you don't have it all together and that maybe you are going through something. And yeah, I would recommend that you just kind of take everything day to day and try to remember all the positive things about yourself. I know for me it's so hard. I can have my friends telling me all these positive attributes about myself, and I'll still manage to feel like crap because it's just, it's something that I've been going through for a long time and I haven't been able to surpass that. And so I think it all leads back to my low self esteem, you know, being bullied a lot in school by people for so many years and being bullied for the most absolute stupidest things like my hair color, my ethnicity, my race, my cultural background, my upbringing, the language I spoke. It's just my size, because I grew up being a very chubby girl, and stupid things like that I would get bullied for. I feel like sometimes, you know, we are completely unaware of all the crazy things that kids go through at school and just in the environments that they grow up in. And that really takes a toll on their self-esteem and the way they perceive not just themselves but like the world and the environment around them and who they hang out with. And if we don't have positivity and good influences in our life, of course we're gonna fall into a deeper hole, and it's going to be harder to dig ourselves out of that if we don't have a support system, if we don't have a group of people that are going to keep us accountable and make us see that it's okay to cry, it's okay to write things down, and it's okay to like just vocalize what it is that you're going through. And I feel like my friends have told me this, and they've told me that it's okay to let it out and be vulnerable with them, but I personally feel like I'm a burden a lot of the time by just expressing what it is that I feel, because it just seems like I'm going through it all the time, and I some days are better than others, and some weeks are better than others, and sometimes I'm just able to masquerade what I'm feeling really well and just kind of put up this front, and this, artificial version of myself. And I just end up feeling more like an imposter every day by doing that. And again, going back to self-esteem, I think that, you know, I think all the things that I collectively went through as a child and a teenager and now a young adult, I think, like, has my mental health, gotten better from like seventh grade till now. Yeah, I've learned to deal with things in a more effective manner. I remember, I think middle school was probably one of the toughest times of my life for me. I got picked on so much. I got picked on for having blonde hair, for being Mexican, for being, too bubbly and too outspoken. And I remember that one of the few things that would make me really happy, that would make distract me from everything else that I was going through, everything else that was happening in my house, was being in choir and singing. And that just brought me so much joy because I could distract myself for a little bit and then, face everything else later. But I remember even in choir, I would get bullied a lot by one girl in particular. Um, and I remember crying in the choir practice rooms. And at one point, I threw up because I was crying so much and I was going through it and I didn't feel well. And I barfed. And, you know, those girls, they truly made me feel like crap. I remember in middle school, I would get in trouble for literally fights that I did not start. I went to a really ghetto middle school, and every day there was always something new happening. There was always a fight that was breaking out in the courtyard. I would see hair extensions on the floor, just people going at it. There was kids that were involved in gangs, kids selling drugs. There was just a lot of stuff going on. I remember in seventh grade, though, it was probably the toughest year for me because I was going through so much at home with my parents, kind of like when you go from being a, a child to a preteen to a teen, your dynamic with your parents kind of changes because of your hormones, because your development. And I think it was so hard for my parents to deal with me because I was just going through so much. I remember, not every single day, but like almost every single week being in the counselor's office because I had girls, bully me so much. And I remember I got in trouble because there was this one girl in particular. No, there's this group of girls that would make fun of me. And I had this one girl that I was friends with, and we both didn't like those group of girls. And one time in English class, I was drawing a picture of these girls, and it was kind of let's just say the picture uh wasn't something that I should have drawn. And you know that girl that I was friends with at the time, she forgot to throw that picture away that I drew. And we were passing notes to each other. It was an English class. I was in 7th grade. And some girl from another class period found it, realized it was my handwriting, turned it into the counselor, and I got suspended and I got in trouble. And I remember I had to write apology letters to these girls that bullied me. And if I hadn't written those apology letters and personally apologized to each of the girls, I was going to get charges pressed on me for what I did, because they saw that as a threat. But it's because I just went through so much bullying, and people would just one of the other things that I got bullied for that made me really insecure, even now, is now it doesn't bother me as much, but I remember kids literally making fun of me for it so much. Was I had a lot of acne in my teenage years, especially in middle school. My skin was just really bad. And I went through every topical treatment you can think of. I would do so much to try to get rid of it. And it was kind of just hereditary. It ran in my family. And by high school, it did get better. I didn't really have that much acne. But I remember kids literally, like, I had this one boy come up to me one time, and he's like, "You should get a boyfriend so they could buy you Proactive because you have acne." And like at the time, it seemed kind of funny that he was saying that, but it really got to me. And I can't believe I still remember that quote from over 10 years ago. That just goes to show how much words can impact you. And yeah, I was in school suspension all the time for things uh that I wasn't a part of. And I will admit I was a troublesome teenager at times, but a lot of the stuff I got blamed for, I got accused of, it was just a lot that I was dealing with. And I remember I did go to counseling for a little bit, but there's only, again, I'm not discrediting their work. I think their work is valuable and it's important, but there's only so much a counselor can do. They're not trained to assess, beyond what they are trained in. And so, I went through a lot of dark times in middle school. At one point I was suicidal, and I never acted upon it because I was scared of the outcome. But yeah, I did have a lot of those thoughts, a lot of those things. And I didn't know how to deal with them. I was so young, and I wish I had had someone, to help me out through it. I remember getting death threats. I had a little flip phone. I didn't really have a smartphone in middle school. I don't think smartphones were a thing yet until probably high school. But so I think I'm kind of grateful in a sense too that I did not have a smartphone until I got my first job and I was able to buy it with my own money. But in a way, I'm kind of grateful for that because I feel like my mental health would have been a lot worse if I had a smartphone because then social media was just starting to develop and, you know, cyberbullying became a thing. And I feel like I would have gotten cyberbullied. Well, I kind of did get cyberbullied. Um, uh, so I've had my YouTube channel for a while. My first YouTube channel, I started it over 10 years ago. And I remember I used to post all the time. So I think I started my YouTube channel when I was like 10 or 11. I can't remember, but I remember posting in middle school YouTube channels, and kids would find out about my YouTube channel. I wouldn't necessarily like go out and advertise that I had a YouTube channel. I would occasionally, but not all the time. So kids would find my videos, and that one girl again that made me cry a lot in choir, she found my YouTube channel and she would go on every single video that I had and just comment the worst things ever. She would make fun of my hair. She would make fun of my background. She was a white girl. Um, she was just so mean and callous, and you know, I think if I had more confidence, I think I would have just kept those videos up. I deleted a lot of the old videos that I had on my YouTube channel because I was scared and because kids would bully me so much that I just felt like I had to take them down. And but if I had more confidence, I definitely would have kept them up because those are memories that I could have looked back on and could have seen all my growth as someone that loves to sing. And it could have been something positive, but it turned into something negative. And you know kids tearing other kids down is just so sad. um I know that in middle school is just a difficult time for everybody. I feel I've had people tell me that they had a great time in middle school. I've had people tell me that they've had an absolute, you know, that it was the absolute worst time of their life for them. And yeah, I just remember feeling so helpless and so um out of control. And yeah, I was saying, I would literally get threatened over the phone. Like, people would find out my phone number and send me like threats of like, oh, I'm gonna beat you up, oh, I'm gonna kick your butt, oh, I'm gonna do this. And you know kids were so mean and so rude. And I think so my self-esteem obviously has been low. I've had a low self-esteem for like the longest time, and that directly affects your confidence and your self-worth. And it's been hard for me to really, really see my worth because of everything that's just happened to me and all the lies I have believed, all the lies that I've made about myself. I'm probably my own worst critic. I put myself down a lot. I'm very hard on myself. I'm a perfectionist, and I blame myself a lot for a lot of the things that happen, and I don't give myself grace over things that are somewhat out of my control. And it just, it, it puts me, it puts me in a deeper hole, and I end up, you know, it ends up being even harder to get back up and just kind of deal with everything that I've been going through. And I'm I'm glad that I'm finally talking about my mental health, because I think it's just something that I've been reluctant to talk about. But I think we need to open up that dialogue, and I think it's important that I'm honest with my listeners. And yeah, I want to keep it transparent, because I know I'm not anything special, but I feel like I can help everybody out by just shedding the truth and sharing the my reality and what I'm going through. And the reality is that I cried myself to sleep last night. And I was going to pray, and I ended up not praying. And I've just been going through so much, and it just doesn't help that I have such a negative view of myself. So I hope that I can learn to love myself more, and to be kinder, and to really see that there's a lot of things in my life that I'm not in control of. And as much as I want to control every single aspect of it, because I'm a huge control freak, that is one of my biggest flaws. I have to learn to deal with what's going on in the moment, and just take it day to day, and one day at a time, because I run myself short if I constantly am fixated on the things that I can't change. And there's a lot I can change about myself. And again, I'm so grateful that I have really patient and understanding friends. But I feel like sometimes I'm just a burden. And I don't want to burden anyone with my emotional baggage, because I know it can get to really, you know, put a strain on friendships sometimes, when you have someone that is constantly going through either depression or anxiety, or it's just been going through a lot of things in their life, and you don't know what other way to help them in. I think one of the biggest things that can, benefit someone, uh genuinely, when you don't know what to do with them anymore, is just listening to what they have to say. Really being there in the sense of listening to them, and making them feel like they're validated, and what they're feeling is valid. And I'm learning every day to just kind of trust the process, and trust that I need to heal. And one of my dearest friends last night, when he was talking to me and texting me over he was texting me, and we were having a conversation. He said, you need to forgive yourself. You need to learn to forgive yourself, so that you can start to heal. And I think that I haven't given myself time to heal. I think I've kind of have just been putting a band-aid over a open cut wound, and I've just been kind of rolling with it, and hoping that everything is gonna just magically disappear. And I mean, look at where it's gotten me. Like, I've cried myself to sleep more times than I can count. I've let my emotions and those intrusive thoughts control me, and I'm tired of it. I'm ready to, be in a healthier state of mind, and really take control of of the things that I can control, and the things that are bringing me down. And I hope that me opening up about this, really shined a light on some of the issues that we're facing. And I will have another, more podcast episodes talking about depression or anxiety, because I think those are incredibly important topics that we need to talk about and conquer. And just know that any of you out there that are listening, you're not going through this alone. I'm going through it too. And it's really hard, but just take it day to day. Just pray about it, meditate, journal it. I remember I used to journal what I was feeling in the moment, and I kind of stopped, but I think it's so beneficial to just write down everything that you're going through in the moment. That way you have kind of like a timestamp and a record of how you were feeling, and you can look back and just see all your progress that you've made. I think that's really beneficial and healthy to deal with things in that way. I know I was I kind of wrote like a poem slash song yesterday when I was kind of going through it. And I know this is going to sound kind of silly, but when I'm literally on the brink of tears, I have to just fully cry it out of my system. So what I do is I put on the saddest songs that I can think of, and I cry it out to get that cry out of my system. Because if I don't, I'm going to explode, and it's going to be even worse for me and everybody around me. So yeah, that's what I did. And um, again, I just want to say, if you're going through it, there's so many resources out there. There's so many people you can reach out and talk to. If you need someone to talk to, feel free to send me a voice message on here, or if you have my number, you can personally call me or text me and I'll respond. If you have me on Twitter, send me a DM. Instagram, same thing. Because I just want us to be able to go through this unashamed and feel like we can talk to people. And if y'all want, I mentioned it in the previous episode, maybe I'll get another phone number and you guys can call me on there and leave me voice messages about topics that you want me to discuss on this podcast, or you just want someone to talk to, and you want it to be anonymous. We can do that. Let me know. Or maybe I'll make an email address, but I think the a voice message app would be a lot better. So yeah, if you see me, if you have me on social media and you're going through stuff and you want someone to listen to, hit me up. Just DM me and I'll try my absolute best to hear you out and to make sure that you're okay. But yeah, with that end, guys, I will leave you. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Thank you for just hearing me out. I know it's not easy talking about this, but I think this will really benefit and help a lot of people out if I talk about it and just be transparent about it. So, yeah, till next time, let me know what you guys want to hear on the next episode. But go forth, prosper, and God bless. Bye.